I showed you the video of the woman, the fake sign language interpreter. The woman who in it was in Tampa or something like that, and there was a serial killer on the loose, and she shows up and offers her services, and she's up there, and someone at home who uses ASL said it was basically like she was she was saying complete gibberish the whole time, like she was placing a pizza order while somebody was trying to hunt. There was a manhunt for something.
She was multitasking. She was hungry.
She was hungry, but I love when her face also went along with it, like she was trying to think of the phrases. So she's giving this like, and then she's like, her hands are just twisting around.
With ASL, you have to use the face. There's a lot of facial markers that change the meaning of what you're signing.
Yeah.
Right, but her facial marker was, I'm fucking confused the entire time. And then they found out this woman is a serial fraudster. Like, she'd been arrested like 8 times for defrauding before.
You have to have... They take certification for ASL interpreters very seriously. As they should. Because you have to think, if you're working as an interpreter with a deaf person, you're going to their doctor's appointments. You're going to, legal appointments. Like, you're going to all these things which are very, very, very confidential information.
Right.
So you have to go through a lot of ethics training and all of that stuff.
Which she did not.
So they take that, as they should. They take it very seriously. And it's a big deal to be a fraudulent. To say that you're... That's
but the best part of it was that they interviewed the poor guy in the sheriff's office. It might have been the sheriff afterward, and he was like, I should have asked more questions. We're never going to use her services again. Because it was like he really couldn't laugh, even though it was hilariously stupid. And he couldn't, I don't know, that was the only way that he could respond, is he was like, well, and they just used it in the news segment, we're not going to use her services again.
What else are you going to do?
Meanwhile, she's doing jazz hands, Fosse, 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 while people are trying to hunt a murder suspect. I think that's great. If Saturday Night Live was still viable, which, by the way, this next season, 8 of the existing cast members are not coming back. So almost everyone is gone. They are escaping the sinking ship. I think even Kenan Thompson is gone. And when Kenan Thompson is gone, it's over.
Right.
Same thing with Nickelodeon. When Kenan Thompson left, it was over.
Oh.
But if SNL was still viable, they would have a sketch on the fake sign language interpreter lady.
How is SNL going to survive in the modern age where TikTokers and stand-up comedians get far more attention, have far more outlets to get recognized than ever?
That's the problem. It hasn't. You're absolutely right. Yeah. No.
The idea that you have to wait for comedy.
Well, and with the wokeness of everything, where nothing is funny anymore. Yeah. It's a sinking ship. It's done.
Well, it was I don't know if you guys ever watched. I tried. They did a Mad TV reboot for 1 season. And they brought back some of the original cast members as cameos, but it was not good. And the reason why is they tried to, instead of continue the old formula of Mad TV, not always making topical things, it was just generic cultural references and stuff. They tried to make it too... I don't want to say too woke, but it was just it was not funny. It was like they didn't have the same writers or something like that. Which is why nobody that has watched the last time that they tried to reboot it for a season. And most of the original people went on to go do other things. So, I mean, except Bobby Lee, I think he's living in a basement behind a Comedy Store. But most other people went on to other things. Did you watch Mad TV?
I didn't even watch it originally. I guess I shouldn't say a kid. I don't know why. It wasn't something that ever fascinated me or anyone I knew. So I never watched. I mean, I knew of a few of the funnier skits,
Like Stewart and stuff like that.
Yeah, the two standouts, the Stewart and Mrs. Swan, of course. Like, everyone knew that.
That's Miss Swan.
Whatever.
Do not misgender the Swan.
No, same gender, just not Mary. Miss Mary.
That's Mademoiselle.
So yeah, I never watched it as a kid. I never watched it. I didn't know they'd rebooted it. Like, it was just. What was that other sketch comedy show? That featured mostly African American people.
Oh, In Living Color.
Yes.
Yeah.
For some reason, I watched that one more than I did.
You were in
Mad
Louisiana,
TV.
so I understand it. In Living Color it's funny because at the time, I think people considered In Living Color to be funnier than Mad TV. But then it kind of waned.
As a kid, I didn't get half the jokes and stuff that they were making because I was young.
That'd be good to almost rewatch it. Jim Carrey was on In Living Color. Mm-hmm. As was
like the one token white person.
Yeah.
Token white person. Yes.
As wasn't Jamie Foxx on In Living Color?
I think so.
Yeah.
It'd be
And
fascinating.
those horrible slutty dancers that they had, like in between every sketch, they'd be like, R&B dancing or rap dancing.
It'd be fascinating if. So those Mad TV's gone, right? Like what? But what network was it on?
Fox.
Oh. It'd be fascinating if they could like bring it like. Is it too late to like say, oh, we're bringing back Mad TV, and it's like almost to replace SNL, but not have it be leaning politically, but just making fun of everyone. Like, if Fox can't produce it, maybe Blaze or Daily Wire could or something.
Well, the problem is that I think that the original idea of it was you're tuning in. I think it was on a different night. I think it was on Friday night, and SNL was on Saturday night, so it wasn't even directly competing with SNL. I think the idea was, if you want to care about the week's news or what the president said or something like that, go watch SNL. We're going to do a funny, late-night improv show that when you and your friends go out, drink, smoke, whatever, come back just to watch and laugh at, we want to be the show for something like that. Which is why most of, like, with SNL, some of those people either started in theater or other kinds of performance. With Mad TV, most of those people specifically were improv comics. So they might have had a little bit of stand-up experience. Like Ari Spears is still a stand-up, Bobby Lee is still a stand-up. But they had a very strong... And then eventually what saved SNL was Tina Fey and Amy Poehler coming in from, I think, Second City in Chicago, the improv troupe. But Mad TV had like specifically people who... And you saw it in some of their live performances because they did interactions with the audience. Give them a topic, give them a situation, they'll act it out. Like, that's a really hard skill. And so that was why they brought so much life to these ridiculous, like an adult baby as Stewart or like a random vaguely Asian woman, Miss Swan.
What I don't understand is Family Guy's still on.
Correct.
They, as Kyle suggested, make fun of everyone equally, right? Like,
for the most part, yeah.
No holds barred. Like, they say some of the most homophobic, racist things on that show, and people laugh, and it doesn't get canceled
because there's no face attached to the.
So that was my question. I was
You're
like,
seeing cartoon faces, and it's easier to detach, even though
that's
maybe
the only difference, right?
Yeah, because when it's live, and you're seeing an actor you love or someone you know saying something funny about a political figure that you voted for and take offense to, that person's now your enemy.
Right.
So, but when you see a cartoon character, it's like, this is a different world. Like, I don't care.
But even if it's scripted, even if it's a scripted, made up character, and just the thing is, it's the real life person doing it. Is that really enough to make a difference in people's minds? I mean, what you're saying, I think is right, but apparently that doesn't quite make sense.
Because we're animals, and sometimes our emotions run us. We see someone, an actor, we may or may not know, making fun of, like, not everyone reacts this way, but certain people get offended, which they should watch comedy, by a joke someone made on TV. They see that face, they hear that joke they don't like, and then they see that person's in another movie coming up, and they're like, oh, I don't want to watch it because they're in it and they don't like this president. It's like, or they don't like my president. It's like, no, they just are a comedian and you can't handle a joke. That's why. Like, and usually it's really sensitive, woke, left people who get offended.
I'm trying to think of why.
I'm sorry. As someone who has,
I'm sorry, steps on.
as someone who studied, some psychology, that's just baffling to me. Like, I understand the argument you're making, and it makes somewhat sense.
Yeah.
But scientifically and psychologically, it doesn't quite make sense.
I feel like I'm trying to think of why a show like Mad TV was so successful in the 90s and early 2000s, and why our culture, in a way, almost doesn't allow for a show like that to exist. And I'm thinking of what the subject matter was that they were able to make fun of. So it's like, yes, Whitney Houston was a recurring sketch. Yes, Frank Caliendo played George W. Bush. Yes, you have like the average Asian sketch where Bobby Lee plays an Asian guy that's not exceptional at anything. And how does he interact with the people around him that have these expectations? And, Bunifa, Latifa, Shalifa, Harifa Jackson, and all the Deborah Wilson characters. And what I think was the most underrated, and probably at the time what they thought was going to be the best sketches, it was the Spishak product commercials. So they took like a 1950s TV spokesman, and it was like, Spishak ovens for kids. And so they showed like an easy bake oven, but being destroyed by this other oven that they made that's actually wildly dangerous for a kid to use. Someone broke their hand trying to put the light bulb on inside of it. And then the mom just sitting there and smoking with the Spishak salesman. Like if you took a 1950s TV infomercial and you flipped it on its head. And I thought that it was funny how they did that. And I'm thinking, why don't we do that now? And it's like, I think that we're out of stuff. We're out. We're out of material.
We're out. We've used it all.
You had, at that time in the 90s, 40 years of television content, plus plenty of cultural content that the only time that it was made fun of was in Mad Magazine, which is why it was Mad TV. That was the only way that you had to make fun of that kind of stuff. I think at this point now, nobody's finding humor in everyday life. And if they do, it's in a brief TikTok video or something. Like that Akana girl. That you show where she makes fun of retail experiences, like this. Welcome to Costco, welcome to Bed Bath & Beyond, welcome to Bath & Body Works, like different retail stores, and how you interact with the silliness of that. What would be an entire Mad TV sketch is now in her clips, which are, 30 seconds? 30-40 seconds. And on network TV, that would have normally been a 4 to 5 minute between the commercial segment. So she is someone I think that would do very well in the same way that, like Bon Qui with the, as the...
I was going to ask, what show was that on? Was that Mad TV?
That was Mad TV, Angela Johnson. Yeah. And when she came on, she gave him a couple extra years just based on her coming in. And now she's a Christian comedian, so she goes around and, and she's very good.
Akana, she's an actress, and she does work. She's in New York, and so, she would do well on SNL, I think. She's already got a cast of characters she's created. Well,
that's the thing. It's like you need to have some characters to go on Mad TV. I don't think, and even on SNL, they make a couple, okay, there's Stefan, okay, there's when Kristen Wiig used to do the weird Target lady, approved. But other than that, it's almost like people are not able to be characters anymore. Because characters have to have some kind of exaggerated real life quality, and if you notice that anymore, it's not okay. Whether a character is disabled, whether a character is of an ethnic minority, whether a character is loud or quiet or old or young, you are not able to make those identifications anymore. So it's almost like it's really hard to do character work because it requires you being exaggerated in one way or another.
I think you're right, Kyle. And that kind of... I hadn't thought about that, but they might actually take that tactic of, okay, we see all these people gaining fame on things like TikTok and Instagram. We're going to now see if they want to join us on SNL or something. They might actually do that, just to see if they can save it. Because if you have millions of followers on TikTok... Yeah. Oh, that's a million views, on SNL.
Yeah. Well, also, and what you're saying about the 90s had great material to go off of from 40 years of network television. Well, the same thing is going to be said about the TikTokers today are going to be made fun of years from now.
Of course.
So they're going to be able to find, like, oh, we all saw this meme, we all saw this video, or whatever. So now it's like, we can make fun of it because it's been a while, we all know it. You can't make fun of a video clip that happened yesterday that not everyone has seen yet.
Right.
People need time to, like, okay, almost everyone's had seen this by now, and we can make fun of it and our joke will land.
But I wonder. I think it's a good idea for like the producers to maybe try to cast some of those people, but I doubt it's gonna translate.
Well,
like you said, 30 to 40 seconds of being funny to like a 10-minute sketch.
It's different. She's young, too, like the girl I'm talking about specifically.
I don't know who you're talking about. I've never seen her.
Okay, so her name's Akana. She's got a pretty good following, and she does the work too. So she's not just filming herself doing something funny in her kitchen or her bathroom or whatever. She has a set in her apartment with green screen. She has backdrops that she creates, and that she has costumes. She has props. She has characters that are in all her videos. She has the same characters, different stores, different outfits, but like it's the same person you've seen her portray that she's created. And so she's done the work, and and the way she edited it, there's so many cuts and stuff. You know, she didn't just like randomly think about it. No, she wrote this down. So that's what someone like her, Akana, she needs to be on a show. Like someone like her who works hard and is very on top of it, and her videos are funny and they're quick to watch. They're a quick laugh kind of thing. But
I wonder if TikTok is now. What's the word I'm looking for? Shoot. I wonder if people make money from TikTok like they do it from YouTube.
Well, I'm
like
sure
they did from YouTube.
I'm sure they are. I mean, I remember when Snapchat was trying to do original series, and I think that there's a couple that maybe took off, but it just kind of it sort of fell apart into like stupid videos that would have been on Facebook, like stupid, like watch this. Oh, look, this is glitter soap. Oh wow, you cut into a bar of soap and there's glitter inside of it. Who gives a fuck? But I don't know. See, she is someone who makes characters, but in a way, you're able to. In a way, she is still able to make fun of people. Where I feel like, I don't know. That's why it's like the Mad TV characters that they had before. That's why SNL has not been good. They have not been able to effectively make a character that someone's not going to object to, and they're so sensitive now.
Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump.
Right. That was the dumbest thing that they have done in 20 years because, as someone who really enjoys Alec Baldwin, like very much, in every role that he's in, it was the worst acting he's ever done. And it wasn't even... You can't make fun of somebody who is already a cartoon character in real life. You can only have that person on, which is why when SNL had Donald Trump on years, at the beginning of the election and then years before, when he was doing The Apprentice, it was so much better. You can't have someone play that. You can't have someone play a big orange drag queen.
That's why someone like Akana, and I keep bringing her up, like as an example, they need to be looking for talent here because she's been able to make jokes about people we've all met in these stores. They're not real people. They're just, they're based on real people, but like you're like, oh, I met
like the overzealous sample person at Costco, or the person at Bath and Body Works spraying spray,
or the supervisor who's like with the the Bob who's like the Bob haircut who's like over watching all her staff making sure are you pushing credit card sales like and the workers are just like help me. So it's like she's able to make fun of people we've all been
and around. That was where Mad TV succeeded because it was everyday life kind of stuff. Like you walk into the one where Miss Swan walks into a chocolate shop and then makes fun of the chocolate shop owner for being gay, and he's like, I'm not gay, but she's like, oh, you're gonna put the monkey in the bush tonight. Like, if you did that now, you would get a letter from, I almost called them NAMBLA. You get a letter from GLAAD. They might as well be NAMBLA at this point. You get a letter from GLAAD just being like, we don't like the portrayal of homosexuals. But it's okay when SNL does Stefan because...
He's not a real person.
Well, but because they think that that's an approved and safe place to make fun of the things that they want. There is a certain group of people, like Mad TV, everybody watched Mad TV. Early SNL, everybody watched SNL. But now it's so self-selected for people who watch shows like that, that they realize, oh, if they say it's okay. It's okay for them to make fun of this group because they said it. Oh, the gays just love Stefan and everything like this. No gay person has ever been offended by Stefan, ever. If Stefan was a Mad TV character, people would take issue with it. Because you made the joke outside of the safe place that we have.
Also in the context of the Stefan character and Miss Swan making fun of gay stuff. It's a little different. I don't think either are offensive. I think they're both funny. But Stefan's character is supposed to be a gay character that SNL wrote for their skit, and so Bill Hader's not gay, so you could take. I guess suppose you could find.
I don't know. Bill Hader wore a mask at the Emmys yesterday, and he was the only one, so he might be.
It's very, very possible. But he's playing a gay character, so it's like in a sense you're seeing someone on screen gay making fun of themselves, and the community. Whereas with Miss Swan, her character was making fun of a gay person as a straight woman. Well, but the actress is not. But whatever.
But it was Michael McDonald playing. Here's for another.
I'm just saying in that example, like you have an actual gay character, and then you have a non-gay character making fun of gays, while the gay character is making fun of themselves. So it's a different if that makes sense. But I'm not disagreeing. Oh no,
you cannot dox our location.
Oh no, sorry.
Great. Now Colin's going to show up, and then he's going to do the podcast. Eventually, he's going to do the podcast, and it's just going to be him doing the podcast and him listening to the podcast, and it's going to be this recursive cycle of just Colin's world, which I'm fine and I'm completely okay with at this point.
Is he going to be our Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie, look up 1947 Roswell, New Mexico photos, please.
I love it when he gets guests on his show and they ask Jamie and they're like, "Can I ask him to do stuff?" Is that sorry?
They're afraid that if they say Alexa, it's not going to go through.
Well, no, because it's wait, Jamie's his employee, not mine. I shouldn't be. And of course, Jamie doesn't care. And Joe's like, "No, that's what he's there for."
Jamie, can I get another hemorrhoid pad, please? I've been sitting here for 3.5 hours. If I was on Rogan, I would have to do so many pee breaks. I can't be there for 3.5 hours sitting there drinking whiskey and high, which makes me have to pee even more.
You don't get high.
But the times that I have, I pee
good.
Constantly.
When you get high.
Because I drink lots of water.
Oh.
And then I have to pee.
No, don't get high.
No, but I'm saying that when the guests go on there and smell, when Elon Musk was lit up a spliff and he did that funny little Wario look on his face, I just would feel like they would have to have so many pauses. Whoever would be whacking up that episode would be there okay, minute 18, minute 24,
he doesn't
minute 27.
They don't edit their episodes.
I know. So that's why it's they'd have to sit there and be in the background. Or I just piss myself at the Rogan studio, and I know I wouldn't be the first.
What you do is you open up that segment with, so I just want everyone to know there's a catheter under this table right now.
No, you let them know.
The Lisa Rinna Depends?
Yeah, let them know. A la Lisa Rinna, I am wearing my Depends.
I'd be walking out with about 30 pounds of fluff around me.
A la Lisa Rinna and our president, I'm wearing my Depends.
Do we think he wears Depends?
He has to.
Or at least a control pad or something. I
mean, you've seen some of those faces that he makes up while he's speaking. You know he's shitting himself.
Yes.
I would love if it was any other administration, I don't know if you guys, I said almost, I don't know if you'd remember. Nobody was there. But, or at least we were not in the way of remembering. In the early 90s, when they confirmed that Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's, it was everyone and their mother came out being there was an I knew he had it before anybody else thing, including his own fucking, that shitty gay kid of his, Ron Reagan Jr., and everyone's yeah, we knew he was slipping. Yeah, we knew. We sensed it. Oh, yeah, we knew. Yeah, one time he misplaced his notes. One time he called me a container of jelly beans. Something like that. Everyone had a Reagan Alzheimer's story when it came out. I wonder if the Biden White House will do the same thing. Where it's everyone will come out, all these staffers, Jill. Everyone's going to come out and be yeah, I knew that he fucking lost it, but I couldn't say anything. Obama at the ceremony for the portraits.
I would hope that they wouldn't, because then, no.
Well, the implication with Reagan was we knew the whole time, but we were just so we supported him so much that we couldn't make it known or something like that.
But with all the people who have been talking about it, on the other side now, they would never admit to it.
Right.
Like
that's why we'll never know.
I don't know the history. At the time, were people on the other side questioning his capabilities?
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
And then it was, and then righteously on the other side, it was like, you can't dare question. At the time, it was very righteous. You cannot question the president's fitness, and then he'd make a joke about it, and everyone's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And then finally he was like, yeah, I fucking slipped a few years ago. I don't think it was until the Clinton administration where that was finally made public. But the sad part of the joke was he was younger then than Biden is now. And as an actor, he was a lot more well-trained to probably be able to conceal it than Biden is now. He was able to remember lines, to remember phrases, to remember things, and be able to kind of at least give the impression that he is compos mentis. Biden, on the other hand, at least he has the thing going for him where Biden's always been batshit. So if he just says something off, everyone's like, that's just Joe. But it's getting worse because he's clearly losing his train of thought multiple times within a speech to the point where it's not even the same train of thought.
He's like when you go to old folks' home for the talent show,
right?
And Grandpa Joe gets on stage, you're like, he can do it, and you're just like, oh, that was so cute. I'm so glad he was able to, and he got through the speech. Kind of bumpy, but oh.
If SNL was viable now, they have not made. I don't think they've made one Biden's forgetful joke at all this year.
All you have to do is create a set of old folks' home and put President Biden. Like, after the Jell-O served, he does some sort of speech about how good the Jell-O was, and then starts talking about his leg hair. Like, it's not hard. There's so much material.
It's easy.
But no, they're losing opportunity to make money and viewership. Like, that's just stupid. If they're all about money, why
they're afraid if we do this, then we're going to be in trouble, and we can't be in trouble with those kind of people because then those kind of people who are our dwindling viewer base are not going to watch us anymore.
Do they see the conservative other side of media that is growing?
No, conservative media doesn't, and those people aren't going to tune into NBC anyway. NBC has completely chucked off that whole group of viewers.
Maybe CNN. I mean, the news. They don't do entertainment, but Warner Brothers owns CNN, right? Or no, Disney owns. Who owns CNN nowadays? AT&T.
Something like that. One of those things. I need a new corporate structure because I feel like every week something changes. Someone buys somebody.
It changes a lot. Whatever. CNN decided to do a funny news segment of making fun of the news today, and decided to do that in order to be a neutral network that makes fun of everyone. I don't know.
The closest that SNL came to making fun of Kamala was during the primary when they had Maya Rudolph play her, and she played her as kind of this ridiculous character who speaks into nothing. And then since then, the only time they've had her on, she goes on, says a line, and then ducks back. It's afraid to make a joke.
Well, because at that time she was not
2%.
Well, at the time, because Kamala was calling Biden a predator, at the time, right?
Yes.
And so they were making fun of that with her. Oh, how dare you go against Biden? But now that she's with Biden, it's can't touch her. It's like the special. You can't make fun of the special needs kids in class, and that's what this is like. Our president is the special needs kid in the group. We can't make fun of him. So that's literally what it's like.
Yeah.
Well, I've made the tweet about it before. What do we have right now? We have a potato Alzheimer's patient as president. We have someone who cannot put a comprehensible sentence together as vice president. It's complete word salad. Means absolutely nothing.
Comprehensible.
And you can't understand what Nancy's saying because she slurs every other word. She's halfway in the bag every day.
I was just looking to see if they had mentioned Nancy at some point on SNL, and the closest they had was Kate McKinnon, who is wildly overrated, playing Nancy, and it was like a Botox joke. It was not even it doesn't show her drunk. It doesn't show her anything.
Yeah.
It was just a weekend update.
But these are the three.
C has a funny forehead.
These are the three top people in our government.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't know where he is, someone who cannot actually use the English language in a way that is functional, and then someone who you can't understand a word she says. So where are we? What are we doing?
Exactly.
Can we? Are we at the point now where I can go out there and flip the flag upside down like we're in
Distress?
a time of crisis?
Yeah.
We're in gastrointestinal distress. You can do that every day.
Well, we're living in an era of underqualified or not qualified, can't get the job done people who, like the generation before, the generation's dead or dwindling that had to go through tough shit and had to get the job done and do well and be above average intelligence stuff. And the people we have in power are just the average, run-of-the-mill, aren't up to the task. And no one's up to the task.
The biggest mistake we made was the first President Bush. Because that was when, at least with Reagan, there was some kind of character, some kind of something there. Yes, there were some people that did some bad things in administration and a lot of incompetence. But at least there was the idea of we know who's at the helm. Once it got to Old Man Bush, it was like everybody could just kind of tune out completely. Everyone's like, oh, I guess the president knows what he's doing, something like that. No one paid attention. The only thing that anyone remembers from that entire 4-year period is he threw up in the Japanese prime minister's lap because he got food poisoning. And he was just old and doddering. That was it. He was the first Biden. Because it was like, oh, there's just this old man with this kind of, rough-looking wife in charge of the country, and we just sort of deal with it and whatever. That's the deal. That whole thing is what created a market for someone like Clinton to even be elected, because it was like, can we have someone who can at least jog for 3 minutes and not collapse?
But I don't know. I disagree with that. I think Carter was the first bumbling old idiot who...
Oh, that's true. Going back to Carter, yeah. The swimming rabbit incident?
Well,
He was attacked by a giant swimming rabbit?
There's nothing remarkable to remember from his presidency. He did
just the
nothing.
Negatives.
He did nothing.
Yeah. And then that was where it was like,
he was
okay.
the first bumbling old fool that
that's true.
was elected.
Because SNL got their start by making fun of, because this is when it came out, Gerald Ford and Chevy Chase playing. The whole joke was that he trips, because he tripped once coming down a flight of stairs. So it's like, ah ha ha ha, he trips. I don't remember them ever making fun of Carter. I can't think of it. And then they started making fun of Reagan.
Bringing that up, they make fun of someone who trips once, but they don't make fun of someone who tripped Biden, who trips
going upstairs
multiple times going upstairs.
I love the picture that someone was like, Daddy's been a bad little kitten. And it was like Biden tripping, and then it was like the remote vibrator or something like that. When he tripped on the stairs.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who just listens to him go off like that and go, anyway.
Oh, I do it all the time.
No, it's fine. You two can have your little show.
Yeah.
You two can have your little show. Colin and I, my dear friend Colin, Colin will have a lovely show talking about semiotics or whatever the fuck you people talk about.
What?
Semantics. Samantha.
Semiotics is the...
Cunning linguistics.
Semiotics is the voodoo of linguistics.
Perfect. We'll talk about voodoo.
No, it's something that is just not real.
And about his honorable Noam Chomsky.
He's gonna cancel you for saying that.
Dear friend, we summer together. We winter together. No one winters together. They only summer together.
On that note,
No.
Yes.
We're not snipping. This isn't a bris. We're not snipping anything.
A dark meme came across my phone.
Let me see.
I couldn't.
You can't say a meme about a person of color is a dark meme.
I was like, oh, they went there. Sorry.
There's going to be a great third-party market. So it was a meme talking about, I can't believe I cut my hair off in the 80s and then, 2000s kids. I can't believe I cut my dick off. There is going to be such a market for lab-grown dicks in the next 20 years, and I don't know how we get it on the ground floor of that. You're going to have a bunch of little petri dicks.
Petri dicks. Oh my
God.
That's what we'll call it.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. So, on that note, I see you revving up to end the show.
Well, I was gonna quickly divert back to, because I don't know, I'm probably gonna cut some of that out. But quickly divert back.
Just like a trans surgeon.
Quickly divert back to
Get some more coffee.
reading. I suggest you read Brave New World as a companion piece to
Brave New World.
As a companion piece to 1984. It's another like dystopian but utopian like world. It's much more utopian because they actually describe a society that you could envision. Oh, people might want to live here.
Yeah. Okay, Brave New World. Who wrote
It's
it?
Huxley.
Aldous Huxley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was written about the same time as 1984, right?
No, it was written before 1984.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
People compare the two all the time because they are on a very similar topic. But 1984 is so much darker.
Yeah.
Brave New World is not so dark. And it gives you this idea of, this sounds like a nice world, but also really fucked up at the same time.
Yeah.
So you teeter that line of, I might like that in the world, but then at the same time, but that removes this. Like, you'll understand when you read it, but it's also an easy book to read.
Okay.
Much easier to read than 1984.
Yeah. I think 1980, like some books, like I know I should read them and I care about what happens, but with 1984, the beginning part of it was just very expository, and it was just very, it was like explaining the world we're in. I was like, okay, and it's kind of more just fact after fact, which is fine. But it wasn't until the second part 3, I think, because it's 3 parts. Part 3 is when I was like, I couldn't put it down.
Oh.
So it was towards the end of the book when it started to really pick up, and I was like, okay, this is fascinating.
So, in my mind, and I might get shit for this, the trifecta of dystopian literature is 1984, Brave New World, and Anthem by Ayn Rand. Anthem is extremely short. It's actually called a novella, so it's like only like 100 pages.
Yeah, I've read Anthem.
I think they're adapting that into...
That would be a very hard movie to adapt, a very hard book to adapt into a movie, but I could see them possibly wanting to do that. The reason I add that as the trifecta is they each cover different realms of this idea of utopia.
Yeah.
So 1984 is very much about speech.
Yeah.
And
thought crime.
What this podcast is called, Thought Criminal. Yeah. So it's all about controlling what you think and what you say, and rewriting history. Like, those are the main tenets of that.
Yeah.
Brave New World is very much about no pain, erasing all of the unpleasantness of life. That's what Brave New World is. And then Anthem is all about collectivism.
Right.
So we remove any thread of individualism, and we go straight collectivism. You are only allowed to be as smart as the dumbest person. You're only allowed to be as wealthy as the poorest person. So basically, everyone is at bar zero.
Yeah.
And you have to live.
And
in a world
1984
like
is like the bad side, or like getting to learn what sort of the dull side of this sunshiny new world is.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in dystopian literature, those are the 3.
That's the curriculum.
Those are the 3 that I always recommend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you study those 3 and you want to make a good your own dystopian sort of content, that'd be a good place to like get inspiration.
And actually, the Giver, which was written for a young adult audience,
yeah,
honestly, I think did exactly that. The Giver took aspects of like all 3 of those books and put it into a more cohesive young adult novel. So I got to give, I think, Lois Lowry, who wrote that, some credit. She did her homework.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, there was a time, 1984, the movie came out in that same year, right? When they adapted it into a movie, it came out in 1984?
I believe so, yes.
And at that time, the movies today are able to visually, like, tell what a person is feeling or thinking or how they're experiencing the world around them without being so, like, blunt about it. If you think about movies that are rather than maybe a character is going through turmoil in a scene. It's not external; it's internal. But there are filmmakers who know how to make that internal struggle your protagonist is going through visual in some way, if that makes sense. More so than back, like in modern cinema, they're better at that. Like
in a way, you don't even have to act anymore. It just does it. You can add with visual effects to do it for you.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So 1984 today, I think if they could adapt from the book very well, creating that world, but also not just creating the world of Oceania and all that stuff, but like also the characters and what they are dealing with, or what they are feeling, or what they're hiding. If that makes sense.
No, that does.
Because 1984, like I mean, in the 80s, they didn't have visual effects or anything like that.
Well, they just tried to depict this very brutalist society, so they did very good on that. But
everything's dirty and
yeah. Well, honestly, one movie like kind of like makes me think that. Anyone see The Lovely Bones?
No.
I know what movie you're talking about.
It's based on a book.
Yeah.
So it's about a girl who is killed, and
right.
she's like in the afterlife, but not quite, and she's like haunting her family still. And but Peter Jackson, who directed the movie, who also made Lord of the Rings, did a great job visualizing the book. I didn't read the book, so I don't know if it's correctly adapted, but he did a good job visualizing what is happening, so you understand it somehow. But also, it's beautiful to watch. Like, it's a beautifully visually made film. And someone like I could see Peter Jackson making a 1984 adaptation, big movie cinema experience that's cohesive and understood, and use visual effects where they're necessary when it comes to like telling a story, rather than relying on I want to do a big budget explosion action scene, and it can be all digital.
That's where I think you would enjoy reading Brave New World, is because that one is very much more. You would say the same thing about that book more so than 1984, I think, because the things that are depicted and the visual, like the visual things that you get just by reading it, like. I'm not giving much away, really. In Brave New World, people aren't born; they're grown in like a test tube. So that idea, and then conditioned, throughout their growing up. So that whole very sterile atmosphere, you could really run wild with in a movie. And Huxley details it very well, and.
Have either of you read the short story Harrison Bergeron by Ray Bradbury?
No. You're making shit up again. No.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you've ever heard of the term handicapper general? It's like the year so-and-so, everyone is finally equal. So if you have anything that's outside of the norm, if you're especially tall, they cut your legs down. If you're especially short, they put you on boosters. So everybody is the same height. Everybody has the same ability. If you're particularly strong, they weigh you down with a weighted vest. If you're particularly delicate, they boost you up. So everybody is physically and mentally equal, or they are forced to be equal by the handicapper general. And so it's a dystopian short story, and I encourage you to read it because it kind of falls into the same genre, the same sort of brain trust of what you just discussed. And they even did a short film about it with Tammy Bruce, of all people, playing the handicapper general. And it's a very interesting kind of story about what does equality actually mean, and then when you are exceptional in some possible way, how a future society could react to that. They'd be cutting your legs down so fucking fast.
I'd be down, yeah.
You'd be down.
They'd have to cut me up to the waist.
Then they'd make you stupid.
I already am.
No. They'd put a helmet on you that sends signals into your brain that shout things so that you couldn't actually think. They did that in the story.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's a very interesting.
Just what I need. A helmet with you shouting expletives into my ear.
Yeah, me in an earpiece, you going, cut. Actually, that's now.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would so love to be the handicapper general. Dream job. Well, On that note.
Oh, now we can cut it? Okay. Oh, I see.
No one, absolutely no one, the Moyle at a breast that's running late.
No one, absolutely no one. 3 cups of coffee, I have to go take a shit.
I'm keeping.
You don't take a shit, you leave a shit. Whose shits are you taking? Anyway, on that note, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Always gotta have the last word.
No, I always have the last word.
Yeah, he does.
Have a great day and go fuck yourselves.